Chair, I'd like to hear, I don't know if we have any public cards. I'd like to hear those first, if that's not a problem.
I don't think it's a problem, but why don't you put it on the floor first?
I'd like to make a motion. If I can get a
All right,
second.
this has been seconded electronically by Ms. Fullilove.
Thank you.
All right. Without objection, we'll hear from the audience first. No objection. I've got many cards. Some have been stapled. First, let me go to two individuals. Everett Frazier, followed by Thomas Malone, followed by Mike Lee. And Mike, you've got some cards behind you. I'm going to call those in a moment. Everett Frazier, Thomas Malone, and then Mike Lee. Everett Frazier, here you go. Thank you, sir. Your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Everett Frazier. I'm at 7904 Briarwind, 38002. I'd like to say to the council, good evening. I stand here this evening to speak for the pre-62 retirees, pre-65 rather. After 38 years of service and 5 months, I came to the end of my road and I had to retire. I executed the office that I occupied faithfully with the Memphis Fire Department for many years. I had to answer the bell, no matter what the hour, no matter what the day. I answered that call faithfully. I missed many anniversaries, birthdays, holidays with the family because I had to go to work. And I say to this council that you all have the authority and the power to help us that are pre-65 to continue to go, because I don't want all of those years to have been in vain. I worked hard. I came to work. I did my job. I followed orders. I gave orders. And to know what I've done, I did it right. It was 18 years before I took a sick day to be at home because I was ill. I did not take another sick day, and the record would reflect that. For 25 years, and the only reason I took a sick day then because I was diagnosed with a brain tumor and I had to have surgery. So I worked and I stayed. I did what I had to do. And I say to this council, do the right thing. Do what you have to do, which is the right thing. I was taught at an early age that if you do good, good will follow you. And I say to this council, do good. I may not look like I'm about 62, but I will be 62 on the 22nd of next month. I worked for the city of Memphis many years, 38 years. Most people don't work on a job for 38 years. But I stayed and I did my job. And I did what I had to do. And I asked this council to do the right thing, for the pre-65 retirees. We realize that at some point we'll be 65 and we will have to deal with Medicare. But right now we're not there yet. But we did do what we had to do. We worked our jobs and we stayed the course. And I ask you if you would do the same for us.
Please
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Thank you for your service. Thomas Malone, followed by Mike Lee, followed by Fran Triplett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Thomas Malone, 5150 Stage. 842 is the number. 842. 842 out of 11,000 employees over the years. And all we're asking in this thing, and we beat this up for years and years and years. Last year, this body came together and did the right thing. At the budget time, you all came together and passed the budget. 8 of you passed the budget. All we're asking now is to follow the budget. This money is in the budget. It's been there. It's been vetted. We were charged with putting a committee together and finding this money and coming back to this council. We met with the administration. If they just want to do away with insurance, then let's all be big men and women and stand up and say, we don't want to give you insurance. But please do not say that this money is not in the budget. We have a plan before you, and the employees have gone to another 10% increase. In this resolution, it only speaks for 1 year. It mandates that this ends in January of 2017. The administration are holding the reins of putting this high deductible plan in play. They could do this in July if they so chose, but they chose to take it out and take it to January of 2017. We're only talking about a small amount of time for a small amount of people that is cost neutral in the budget that you all passed. If you don't care about these individuals, then care about your family, because the continued cuts of these benefits are what's got police and firefighters leaving this city, and public safety is being compromised by the votes taken at this podium, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Is Mr. Jim Nichols here? Thank you, sir. You're giving your time to Mr. Lee. Robert McAnally? Thank you. Your time for Mr. Lee. Francis Bradley? All right. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Francis, I know you. Richard McBride? Yes, sir. You know I know you. And Lisa Tennyson? Lisa? All right. Mr. Lee, you have their time. These are 5 cards, including yours. You have a total of 12 minutes, Mr. Lee.
I won't meet that. I'm Mike Lee. I'm president of the ACRE Organization, Association of City Retired Employees. We're located at 638 Jefferson Avenue, 38105, phone 525-2615. I also did 38 years, retired as Deputy Chief of the Investigative Services. This has been a long road for all of us. All of us have been through this. I know there's some of you there that will tune me out probably and pay absolutely no attention to what I say. But you know, the Bible speaks to these issues. In Malachi 3:5, it's written, "So I will come near you for judgment. I will be quick to testify against those who defraud the laborers of their wages, who oppress the widows and the fatherless." The decision to cost 874 retired pre-65, their 300-plus spouses, and their 400-plus children out is morally wrong. Do you see any other government in Tennessee taking this radical stance? 6 of you won't even be here next year. 7 of you will if you're elected, and I wish you well in your elections. But I'm telling you, Proverbs 3:27 says, "Don't withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to act. Do not say to your neighbor, 'Come back tomorrow, and I'll give it to you,' when you already have it with you." You have it with you tonight. You went out to the Siegel Consulting Group because you were apprehensive about the city's plans, what they had given you, the numbers they had given you. And I admire you for doing that. You went against the grain. I don't think another council in a long time has done that. And you got numbers, and you got reports, and you paid good money to get advice. But what you seem to be doing today that's got me worried is you're not relying on this to make the informed decisions that you need to be making. I thank you, Ms. Halbert, for your coming together, meeting, and coming forth with this. I thank Councilman Collins for his friendly amendment upstairs. There are things that are going on. Siegel said there are inconsistencies in the CAFR report related to health and OPEB funds, and no significant impact will be on the plan since they are funded as a pay-as-you-go. Siegel told you pay-as-you-go is okay. They said overall the city's medical and RX benefit levels are competitive with any local peers. And y'all remember that saw the report, what they compared it to. But they said the premiums for the pre-65 retirees access only, and they put this word in boldness, significantly higher for retirees than anywhere in any other peer group. They also said there are opportunities to design a more cost-efficient program and reduce the cost with minimal cost shifting to the members. Now, these are people, I don't know how much you paid for the report, but Eric and them, when they came down, they made, I thought, an excellent report. Some of it I didn't like myself, and I hope as it goes down the road it don't get put in. But they did tell you some true facts and all that the city seems to have just ignored. As the legislative body of the city of Memphis, many of you want, once again, to ignore the opportunities and fall into line behind the current administration. And I say the current administration because in the next, 45 days or more, we may not have the current administration. But it seems funny to me that when we come down here, we don't get the same treatment or respect that some of our richer counterparts in Memphis get, some of the chambers, some other people. For 2 years now, the favorite game in this city has been kick the workers and retirees. If you can't get money anywhere else, take it off the backs of the workers. Take it off the backs of the retirees. While at the same time, we seem to be able to find all the money in the world to pay for special entrance projects in our city. And we need to rebuild our city. I got nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's been somebody in my family serving the city of Memphis continually since 1942. There has been one of my family members here. And I got a recruit coming in this fire class in September. So it's going to go on for a while. Do you think my family didn't love Memphis? We did. So with your vote in the next few minutes, you're either going to right a great wrong, or you're going to fall into step with those who frankly could care less about people who work to make Memphis great. I work to make Memphis what it is today. Now, you may say, well, you didn't do very good. But I did. I came in every day like the other fireman that was talking a few minutes ago. I came to the police department and I worked, and I have injuries. Right now I have injuries from motorcycle accidents on duties, from drunks fighting me. But that's neither here or there. I'm asking you to vote yes for Councilwoman Halbert's resolution. As Thomas Malone said, we're not asking you to continue this like Chief Salmon said. We're not asking you to pay for the motel room for the next 100 years. We're asking you to pay the hour rate for just another 6 months or so. That's all we're asking for. Let these pre-65 retirees know that you do appreciate all the loyal years of service they gave. Show them the support they showed you and your families when they served. Tell the administration, go back to the drawing board and find Siegel's more cost-efficient program and reduce the cost, and not continue to try and throw the burdens on the innocent retired. And I leave you with one final verse from Proverbs 17:5. Those who mock the poor insult their maker. That's a capital M. Those who rejoice at the misfortune of others will be punished. Don't rejoice at our misfortune. We're hurting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Ms. Fran Triplett. Ms. Triplett, as she comes forth, F.O. James, are you here? F.O. James, I'd like you to stand up, please. Thank you, sir. And you reside on what street? No, what street do you reside on? That's what I needed to know. That's all I needed to know, sir. Jim Stroud? Okay. Michelle Lux? Say that again? You're not giving your time to Ms. Triplett? You're not? I'm glad I called. Let me take this card off. It says donate to Fran Triplett here. You know that, don't you? That's fine. That's fine. All right, Charles Ellis, you're giving your time to Ms. Triplett. Thank you. Steve Walker. Okay. Lynn Walker. Okay. Mary Overton Jackson. Okay. Karen Travis. All right. Donna Wolfirk. All right. And Donna Kirk. Great. There are 9 cards here. Ms. Triplett, you have 9 plus yours, a total of 10 for 20 minutes. Thank you so much.
Fran Triplett, 3616 Northwood Drive. I've spent over a year talking about what's right and what's wrong. So let's talk about facts. The first fact is every single one of you, -2, is running for something. That's the first fact. Second fact, all of you are educated. So when you have facts put before you, there's no reason for you not to understand them. We've talked about there's not enough money, the OPEB unfunded liability. All of those have been discredited. My first question is a year ago, Mr. Strickland, you reached out to me along with Mr. Flinn and granted a 1-year stay so that we could research options. We have those options in front of us, or y'all did, And if it was done then, why can't it be done now? We're better off now than we were a year ago with the Strickland Flinn resolution. We now have a plan, or several, and we now have the funding to do it, which is zero cost to the city. Siegel has come in and stated a one-year stay, this appears to be a one-year stay, to cost around $9 million for the entire year. $4.5 million for FY16. Jack Salmon sat in the specially called meeting and stated that he could find that by kickoff. That was 2 weeks ago. So there's your $4.5 million right there. The impact on long-term liability is unchanged. Unchanged. Since this is a temporary measure. The city, a similar temporary measure last year that was granted that impacted participants for the year delay did not reverse the $300 million unfunded liability that Mr. Robinson keeps talking about. OPEB liability savings, since the move was temporary, didn't change, and it won't with one more year. This is a neutral, budget-neutral plan. FY14 healthcare net surplus, $2.3 million. It's been confirmed. OPEB funds had a surplus of $2.3 million as of June 30th, 2014. Also, July 28, 2015 healthcare presentation from Mercer, the city's experienced larger claims, except there was a surplus of $1.1 million. This 1.1 in savings should continue to grow. The budget you passed was with the assumption that all pre-65s would be kicked off. After you passed the budget, the pre-65 were brought back on. You would assume this would have created a deficit. However, it created a surplus. With both the healthcare fund and the OPEB fund combined, you have a little over $15 million in it as of today. You all at one point, most of you have stated that if there was a way to do this that would not cripple the city, you would pass it. This is a cost-neutral plan. It is an election year. It will be hard to tell the citizens who are now waking up to just this past weekend, 5 shootings, that your main concern is public safety when you slit these retirees' throats. We listened to over 30 minutes of how we need to Band-Aid a problem with the drop program this morning because we don't have enough officers. Director Armstrong specifically stated he can't run a police department like it is now. He will not be able to continue to do it. But yet you want to extend a drop plan to bring back older retirees and put them through a physical, through training, and expect them to patrol the streets. We have nothing to offer them. Why would they come back and serve a city that can't fulfill their promise? Instead of Band-Aiding the problem, give these people what they earned, and we don't have to do that. You're spending over $12 million in overtime. That's not necessary if you provide the benefits that these people have earned. 911 dispatchers. It takes at least 10 to 20 minutes for response time because we don't have enough 911 dispatchers. When your child, your mom, your father, it will hit. It's going to go inside the bubble. When one of you has to call 911 and there's nobody there to answer, was it worth sacrificing a cost-neutral plan? Because that's what you're telling your constituents. If this is truly what you want, then stand up and tell us you just don't want to give us what we earn, because it's not about the money anymore. You've had several options over the past year that I personally have presented. Ms. Halbert is going to present and has presented cost neutral. No more excuses. You can't look at the citizens and say, I care about your public safety, but I'm not going to provide the people who provide it to you. Our tax dollars are to go towards our clean streets, towards our firefighters, our public servants, and yet the mayor has spent over 33% towards debt. Frankly, I'm tired of seeing big buildings going up but my friend's getting robbed at gunpoint at the gas station at noon on a Saturday afternoon. I don't care what buildings, what firm builds. The big businesses are not going to stay, nor are they going to come. They will commute. Our tax base is decreasing daily and will continue. Big businesses can still work here, but they're not going to bring their families, nor are they going to live here. The best way to handle this is do what you promised. It's cost neutral. And if you're not, then grow a set and tell us why.
Thank you. Michelle Lux. Your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes, Ms. Lux.
Michelle Lou.
No, into the microphone, please.
Michelle Lou, 359 Roland Avenue, Jackson, Tennessee. My husband gave 19 years as a firefighter and passed away 2 years ago and left behind my daughter and myself. With that being said, I'm not going to talk bad about any of you, but only pray that God changes your heart or moves you out. Scripture that I continually go to is Exodus 22 through 24. It says, "Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out unto me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with my sword. Your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless." So please reconsider your vote in our favor. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Lux. Betty Boyette, are you here? Betty? Betty, are you here? That's fine. I'm just double checking. Carolyn Hamill? Carolyn? Great. Ms. Hurley, you have their time. 6 minutes. Kathy Hurley. What we're doing, we're just checking to make sure that people that give other people time are here. And if they're not, their cards are going to be taken out. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Hurley.
Kathy Hurley, 7488 Wintergreen Lane, Cordova, Tennessee, 38018. I just want to say that I'm not quite sure how all this works, but based on Alan Wade's letter, even though Memphis owns the airport, it's Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority, and that fund is self-funded, and we have Public Works who are getting money self-funded through the satellite fund, and also sanitation. I'm not quite sure, are you double counting that money? I mean, because that is part of the funds that are coming in to pay. Now, they're isolating us, but I'm not sure, are they isolating the other people who are self-funded? How that works. The Airport Authority's meeting is on September 17th, so we're kind of still in limbo now that we've been told we don't work for the city, which I think we do. And so if you count that, they're counting all that money in the front end, but they're not counting it in the back end of the budget, it just seems like there's more money there than y'all are really counting, although I'm not a accountant, but just common sense says you're using the numbers different ways in different situations. So I too would like to say that the disabled should all be treated the same, whether you're hurt on the job or whether you come down with cancer or whatever your disability is. If it's a genuine disability, just like the line of duty survivors, those people should all be treated the same, not differently. And it's really, yes, it's about my husband, but we found out finally that there are 37 other families, individuals, who are ordinary disabled. You would not have given them that status unless they went through all of the hoops to document their disabilities. I just think it's really sad that you're not taking care of all the pre-65s, but it's especially unbelievable that you're not taking care of all of the disabled the same. And I hope that all of you will step up and tell our mayor that you want to give these people what they deserve. And somehow or another, you'll also find it in your heart to take care of all of the disabled people. Thank you so much. I've come down here so much, I feel like we should all go out and have a pizza together. But thank you for listening. I
Thank you, Ms.
appreciate
Hurley.
you all.
Thank you so much. Sherry Hopper.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I want to thank y'all for all having your attention to let us all speak and give us our utmost heartfelt feelings here.
Your name and address for the record, Ms. Hopper.
Oh, Sherry Hopper, 2984 Overbrook Cove, Memphis, Tennessee, 38128. Okay, when all of these men and women signed up as police officers and they're firemen, it is a government job, supposedly to be a career, and with the promises that they would have insurances when they retire. It is not a job with regular hours, but shift changes. With their families, they have to change shifts too. Many husbands and wives works days and one works nights, so there will be a parent with their children. I know it is the way it is. Most have to work a second job to be able to have an almost normal life. Why? This is because this is a job they feel they can help people who cannot help themselves, which are many. There is a policy where the city is to have the funds to support these dedicated men and women in their retirement. If this is taken away, how will they live on their minimum income? They cannot afford to purchase 2 insurances to cover their needs. They cannot draw Social Security because they have a government job. A lot of the health problems occur as a result of the stress of their jobs that require an alert on the split-second judgment to have to be made. If they do not, someone will lose their lives. And I want to thank you for taking time to listen to my requests and be sure to take these things into considerations and to think of yourself in these positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hopper. All right, this ends the cards from the public. Ms. Halbert, I'm going to come to you first. Did you take yourself out of the queue?
No.
Okay, you're...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to...
Wait, Ms. Halbert, hold on. We have one more from the public.
Okay.
This is the last one. I apologize. Mike Williams. Here, let me give this to you. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
My name is Mike Williams, citizen, 1784 Myrna, 38117. I feel good to talk to you as a citizen today. As I'm going out through the community and just talking to people, and I hear everybody talk about public safety. I hear a lot of you guys running on the platform of public safety. And as a voter in the city of Memphis, public safety is very important to me. But not only is public safety important to me, my core services are important to me. And for some reason, there have seemed to have been a disconnect. We are not taking care of the citizens of this city. Everything you do in these chambers affect individual citizens outside. If you have not noticed, there's an undercurrent going on right now where the citizens of Memphis are starting to form advocacy groups because they don't like a lot of the decisions that are being made down here. And as I continuously go out through the community, I'm finding it building and building more and more. These individuals have given a lot the best years of their lives. And it's almost like they're continuously coming down here begging for respect, begging for their dignity, begging to get their pride back, begging just to be able to live a simple life. And for some reason, their voices are falling on deaf ears. I would like to just ask that. Give them that bridge so that we can get to the high deductible plan. Please find it in your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Halbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a presentation regarding this proposal, and we've discussed it twice in the Personnel Committee. But before I do, I just want to make a couple of brief comments. I personally enjoy my public advocacy work, but I have to admit that over the last 8 years, this has been some difficult work for me. I never would have imagined some of the ways that we've behaved as government, some of the lack of respect that we've shown, not just towards each other, but oftentimes toward our city and towards our public. I'm just floored that I've been a part of witnessing that. None of us are here to vote 100% of what anybody tells us to vote for. We're here to listen to the issues, to make a conscious decision, and to vote. That doesn't always mean the public is supportive of our decision or that we're individually supportive of our decision. But at least I hope that in our hearts we have voted our conscience and not simply because someone has told us to. Over the course of the past few months, listening to some of the pre-65 retirees, without anybody asking me to, without anybody prodding me to, I raised the issue about us bringing this back to committee because I could not imagine having stage 4 cancer or having pancreatic cancer and someone yanks my insurance away from me and I have no way to continue to get my treatments, and I just cannot imagine, I just can't fathom how we sit here and act like that does not affect us. And if we're going to force these individuals to make other decisions and choose other options, exactly what are those? And how would they be able to pay for them or take care of them? Last year, on September 16th, this council was approached with a plan to delay, after we approved our budget, kicking the pre-65 retirees off of the health care plan. In less than 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, with very, very, very little discussion, this council committee and this council approved it. There was very little discussion about it. We just approved it. And I was proud of this council at that moment because we did not anticipate the backlash that we ultimately saw, because our administration did not prepare us for the fact that we didn't consider how many people would have been negatively impacted, what their issues and their health conditions were. We weren't even talked to about those issues. With that being said, I worked with several people and even talked to our administration. You know, I have to also add, I don't want to leave this out. Director Quentin Robinson invited myself and a couple other people to a meeting, and he talked about options the pre-65 retirees would have to consider. His plan of options included the Affordable Health Care Act, and there was one that stuck out in my mind, and this is what prodded me more than anything to say something has to be done. And that's where he showed us a table where if an individual makes $18,000 a year, they would go on a subsidy plan where their out-of-pocket deductible would be $5,000 a year. $17,000, $18,000 a year, and your out-of-pocket medical deductible would be $5,000. You're not talking about your expenses, your living expenses, your clothing, your food, your gas, your transportation. You're not talking about any of that. $5,000 out of an $18,000 a year salary. And that made me say absolutely not. Therefore, we worked together and we went and looked at the budget, the FY16 approved budget, and I'll just point out a few of the issues that stuck out to us. In that budget, our general fund expenditure was $656.6 $4.6 million. The FY 2016 budget adds spending for safety, blight, technology, and youth programs, all which are needed. But it did say in there, and the city administration says that we took it out of context, but it stated specifically, the city will continue to pay for the retiree health care cost for persons that are not eligible for Medicare, and the city will identify ways to ease this transition of all impacted employees and retirees. In essence, the changes would not leave our past and current employees without viable and effective pension and health care options. The impact of the retiree health care cuts. We are spending in this 2016 budget $12.4 million increased expense for recruit classes and overtime because of the problems that we've created as a result of not having enough boots on the ground. The pre-65s have no comparable affordable health care. Don't forget that $18,000 a year with a $5,000 out-of-pocket deductible. And on page 4 of this cost-neutral budget impact, what this plan is requesting is $4.5 million now in this budget, $4.5 million in the next budget to carry these pre-65s for 1 year while the new high-deductible plan is being implemented, created and implemented. You will see that one of the things the retirees through the unions have said they're willing to do is to also go to a 60-40 split as a compromise, or to put into this $4.5 million. In conclusion, as a reminder, the FY16 budget states all retirees without Medicare will continue to receive the subsidy. This plan implements a budget-neutral solution, and we relied heavily on the recommendations and the money that we paid an independent actuary, Siegel, to come in and not just give us direction on our pension plan, but they actually looked at this plan, and you all received the information. The administration talked about the free clinic our employees and retirees will have the opportunity to use. And I submit to you, they said it's a free clinic, but it's not insurance, and every employee or retiree is not able to use that clinic. And it's not a specific medical facility.
All right, Ms. Halbert, you've used your time. Who would like to give Ms. Halbert their 5 minutes?
I'll just
Mr.
end
Collins?
with this, Mr. Chair.
No, I'm going to give you additional time.
Okay.
Mr. Collins is giving you an additional 5, and Mr. Boyd is giving you additional 5. So, all right, and Mr. Brown. So please continue. Yes, and Ms. Fullylove. So fine, folks won't be speaking. Ms. Halbert has all the time. That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll end with the presentation, and then there may be further comments later on after I hear from my colleagues. But just as a final reminder, this city has more than a $15 million surplus in its OPEB and its health care fund. And the sad part about it is, many of you have sat at the table time and time again and questioned, we're not sure what we can or cannot believe from this administration. I have tried to maintain my level of respect for the mayor and his administration the time that they've been in office, but it has been difficult because I asked a specific question. If, in fact, extending this delay by 1 year, the same exact thing this city council did last year, if, in fact, it is going to hurt our OPEB liability and cause a $250 to $300 million liability, I asked them, then tell us what it did to us last year when we did the same exact thing and we couldn't get an answer out of them. If it was good enough last year when Councilman Flinn and Strickland put it on the table, it should be good enough if Boyd, Brown, Collins, Fullylove, or anybody else puts it on the table. Council members, I am going to ask you to please. I don't have a stake in this. When Director Robinson sat at that personnel table at this last meeting, he talked about having a child, told Mr. Russell, who talked about his specific cancer issue, and they had a common illness. And I asked him, imagine your family going through your child's treatments, and your employer tells you that you no longer have insurance effective by date certain. Then what do you do? Mr. Chair, members of the council, I ask you to please do exactly as we did last year in less than 5 minutes. Something you've made me go into 4 and 6 weeks of explaining, compared to 5 minutes last year. Extend by 1 year, and let us have an absolute plan in place, because the council cannot afford to, they have to have their new plan in place by 2017. And let's give these pre-65 retirees 1 more year of coverage until this new plan is in place. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Halbert. All right, Mr. Crone, you have the floor. Yes, you did formally move it at the beginning, I believe. Correct, Ms. Snipes? It was moved. Yes, it was.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend Councilwoman Halbert's efforts in this. She has worked long hours on it, and I share her frustration. I have rarely encountered an issue, Mr. Chairman, that seems to have no right answer depending upon who you talk to. And I have gotten the distinct impression, with all due respect to everyone, that when it comes to this issue, there hasn't been discussions in good faith to work out this problem, merely posturing. Now, to be real, the problem isn't premiums. The problem is OPEB. And the problem is at the end of this year, if everything happens as it did over the last year, and we do this, another council is going to be sitting here with the same situation. Because I don't believe if things keep going the way they are, there's been a year of trying to find solutions, and this is the first concrete proposal on the table to find a solution. This solution is revenue neutral, and it doesn't add to the OPEB, provided that it ends at the end of the year. The reason to extend it, I'm told, is that there's a possibility in the future someone might pass a high deductible plan. And let me underline high deductible plan. That's not a $500 deductible or a $1,000 deductible. That's probably a $3,000, $5,000, or $7,000 deductible plan. And the problem is that doesn't change the unfunded liability if you were to have a high deductible plan that then adds $250 or $300 million back to the OPEB. And if someone can prove to me that that's not the case, that there's an aspect of this out there in the future where you could do what's best for the retirees and what's best for the city, but you guys last year and the year before voted to tackle the OPEB, and that was the policy that you made. And kicking this down the road 1 year at a time isn't going to solve that. That's my frustration with it. Because no proposal I have seen deals with that. It may deal with premiums. And to be fair on the to the pre-65 folks who have done their homework, every time we sit down and try to talk to the administration about it, no one has stood up to me in a public forum and said, this high deductible plan, if enacted a year from now, will increase the OPEB. And unless someone does that, I'm inclined to vote for this. To give this conversation a chance to continue on, because if we cut it off, then these folks are at the end of their road. And let me say this about that. I also think it's only fair to these people that if at the end of the day, whether it's the end of this year or the end of last year or a year, 2 years from now, if you're going to cut them off, kicking the can down the road 1 year at a time doesn't do anybody any good, because we're going to keep having this argument until that decision is made. And, you know, I haven't been on the council a long time, so this statement probably doesn't carry as much weight as it would carry for some others on the council. But this is probably the toughest thing I've ever had to decide in my life. Because contrary to what has been suggested from time to time on the podium, speaking for myself, I don't enjoy taking people's benefits away from them. Normally, I represent workers in court. But sitting here, I have to think of workers, but I also have to think of taxpayers and the financial integrity of the city. And it is a fact that if we don't get the OPEB under control, the state, who I agree, the state doesn't have to live by its own rules. It's good to be the king. You know, they can put that mandate on us while ignoring it. The federal government has had this problem with the Social Security Trust Fund for decades. All right, and we're in this position because in the past, councils and mayors have said, oh, well, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll deal with that tomorrow. We'll take money out of the OPEB fund and we'll spend it on other things. And they've handed us a bill. They've handed these people a bill. Somebody's got to pay that bill. And if we don't pay it, then our bond rating suffers, our ability to run the city independently suffers, because we've heard from the comptroller that the state is looking at it hard. There are no easy choices here, but I think we have to do what's in the best interest ultimately of the city. And I would certainly like for someone to make the case that a high deductible plan would not increase the OPEB. I'd love to hear that plan.
Thank you, Mr. Crone. Mr. Crone, you can continue if someone wants to give you their time.
I'm finished.
All right, let's move on then. Mr. Strickland, you have the floor.
I've got questions. I'm going to move very quickly. Is somebody from the administration here that could answer questions about how many pre-65s we're talking about? Director, do you know how many pre-65 retirees are there, approximately?
There is approximately 1,100 pre-65 retirees.
All right. Did the audit figure out how many of those have access to other health insurance?
We're still in the appeals process on the audit, so the audit finding isn't conclusive. However, the number of individuals who the audit determined didn't qualify for city coverage was a couple, 300-400 people, but that was pre-65, that was spouses, that was dependents who had reached age 26. So that's all of the above.
And do we know how many of that 1,000 or 1,100 are police and fire retirees?
Don't know where those individuals retired from, to the extent that there are pre-65s in that number.
Okay. Look, Director, if I could have you sit down, and because my next question is to Ms. Halbert or to anyone. On page 4 of the document, Ms. Halbert, that you passed out, it shows the where the $9 million is going to come from to pay for the pre-65s. The first is $4.5 million for city contribution from general fund, I assume January 2016 to June 2016. Where does that money come from?
Forgive me. Go ahead, Ms.
And if Ms. Triplett wants to answer, I'm fine with that too.
There is a surplus. I mean, Ms. Triplett or Director Collins can come forward, Ms. Chair, but there is a surplus, and that's what nobody's talking about.
Is that
and remember, CAO said he can find the $4.5 million yesterday.
All right, is the 4.5 is the 4.5 the 1.1 plus 1.7 plus 1.7?
You had a 4.1 according to the Human Resources presentation surplus, which is also submitted in the CAF as a legal document. So they can't argue that unless it was fraud. That's your 4.5. Then, what else were you asking? I'm sorry, I wasn't really prepared to
No, is the 4.5 that you have on page 4 the 1.1 plus 1.7 plus 1.7?
Hold on, let me get to it. I don't have what you're looking
I'm on
at.
page 4, I'm sorry.
I need
This is what
a
you
packet.
just asked.
Yeah. What I'm trying to figure out, is that 4.5 there the sum of the 1.1, 1.7, and 1.7?
Yes.
Yes, it
Okay.
is, because
Yes,
it
that
has
is.
on there the net surplus.
Yeah, the
All
net
right, and
surplus
that
is
pays
4.5.
for, those three figures pay for continuing the health insurance from January 2016 to June 2016. All right, where does the 4.5 come from July 2016 to December 2016?
All right, are we going to take the football kickoff money or?
It would be the next year's budget, Councilman Strickland. That is what we talked about in the personnel meeting. You take 4.5 now, and you take 4.5.
It's out of two different budgets.
Out of two different budgets, next year's budget.
It's 4.5 out of one budget and 4.5 out of another.
All right.
And
Which
one
actually
other,
gives you $1 million extra to play with.
one other thing, Councilman Strickland, is that this plan would be by date certain. So it wouldn't extend, it
All right,
couldn't extend.
all right. I'm trying. I only have 5 minutes, so I got to get my questions answered. The 4.5 out of next year's budget, you have not itemized where that would come from.
Hold on. And also the 60/40, just so you know, it rolls over. It is. And you're wanting to know where the next 4.5 is coming from,
Right.
correct?
I guess 1.7 comes from the 60/40 split continuing.
Correct.
All right. And what about the rest of it?
You end the FY15 with a $4 million surplus, which is a net of 3.5. You have that. Hold on, I've got to get my paperwork. Tommy, do you have yours handy? So I don't waste his time. Here it is. I'm here telling him.
Mr. Strickland, next year, the 1.7 from the 60/40 split would roll over,
Right.
and then we would have an additional 6 months when they plan the budget, which we assume by all the rhetoric that we received in the meetings that we would only be looking at $2-point-something million, less than $3 million to bring up to the 4.5 for 6 months.
All right, so are you saying the 1.7 of that 4.
Excuse me, Mr. Strickland, you have 5 more minutes from Mr. Conrad.
All right, 1.7 comes from the 60/40 continuing. Are you saying the rest would just have to come out of somewhere else?
Well, if you look, and everything gets in projections just like y'all's budget, and we're projecting 4.5 million surplus in the health care plan. Now, whether they would want to use that or not, that would be up to the council. Also, when you look at the other projections, we're not talking about the tobacco surcharge, the spousal surcharge, the kickback from the Medicare prescription drugs. So, I mean, when we start adding the money up, if it's the same money, then you're talking about several $5-6 million, not counting the surplus, nor counting the 60/40 split for the employees.
All right, let me ask Director
So where
Collins.
the council would decide to get it, I can't say, but the money is laying on the table.
All right, let me ask Director Collins. Please. And while you're walking up, I'll just ask you the question. Have you looked at page 4 of this presentation? Do you agree that these three funding sources are available to fund January 2016 through June 2016? And then do you agree, well, let me just have to stay at that point. Have you seen this?
Let me pull it out. On the subject of surpluses, okay, I've got it now in front of me, thank you. The healthcare surplus, for instance, is a point-in-time number that changes all of the time. And that may have been what it was at a point in time. But what I will tell you is that over the years, because we have constantly been in deficit, we have never been able to build up an adequate surplus. In a healthcare fund, we should have at all times, on average, according to the experts, and it makes sense, about a 10% cushion or surplus. So if you think of this as a surplus, if anything, it's a wholly inadequate surplus. We have a health care plan that spends...
My time's running, so bottom line is...
But it's this...
You're saying it may or may not be this amount because it changes.
It probably
and
isn't.
even if it does, it should stay as a surplus.
So we should have a surplus 10 times this.
Okay.
But, so to use this,
what about
anything else would be
what
a bad
about the
idea.
1.1 in the post-65 LOD? Do you agree with that?
I can't confirm that.
Do you agree that next year there will be a 4.5 surplus in the healthcare fund?
Again, I can't tell you what next year will bring. I can only tell you that if that's it, it should be double that because we need that for the normal fluctuations to manage that healthcare fund.
All right.
You're in no rush, Mr. Strickland.
Okay.
You're in no rush. Mr. Conrad has given you 5. Mr. Hedgepeth has given you 5. Right now.
Now I've got a question for Mr. Wade. All right. A couple things. This resolution, as I see it, kind of does 3 things. Number one, it's moving these, making available, assuming that these figures exist on page 4, assuming they exist. Director Collins is not sure they exist, but assuming they exist, it's moving those and making them available to fund pre-65 from January 2016 to June 2016. That's one thing it does. Second thing it does is say next year's budget, 4.5 should be used for pre-65s. And the third thing it does is say coverage should be extended to pre-65s. All right. On those 3 points, do we as a council have the authority to do those?
Let's take them in order. First of all, as to committing 4.5 from next year's budget, no. Even though you are the fiscal authority, first of all, you do not have the authority to appropriate or commit funds for a budget that has not yet been adopted. Secondly, I told you earlier tonight, there's only one thing you cannot do is to commit another council to funding a budget, which is what you would be doing. You would be appropriating funds that another council would have to use their discretion looking at the picture of the city, fiscal picture of the city as a whole. So as to the second 4.5, no, you do not. I don't read this ordinance as saying that these sources are being committed. I mean, the ordinance that I see, the resolution that I see...
I agree. I was just thinking it was inferring that.
It basically authorizes the city administration to basically do, if there's money in the budget, it authorizes them to do what they can do anyway. This doesn't change anything. This only authorizes the city administration to implement an administrative plan which they can elect to do or not to do as they see fit. So you are not accomplishing, if people think this is the magic bullet, it is not the magic bullet because you are not making anything happen you are basically authorizing the administration to do things that they can do anyway. Now, I will point out one clear distinction between what happened under the Flinn and Strickland resolution that is not in this one. There is language in the Flinn and Strickland resolution that says, whereas through recent collaboration between the City Council, the City Administration, and citizens, additional health care funds have been identified to restore medical premium subsidy to some pre-65 retirees. And then the delay was implemented through the end of this calendar year. So that was an agreement between the council and the administration to make that extension. I don't see that language in this particular
Let me ask you this.
resolution.
Assuming this money that's on page 4 is available right now to extend coverage from January 2016 to June 2016, could the administration do it on its own right now without a resolution from us?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
what I'm saying is this thing says authorizes them to do these things, which they are authorized to do if the money is
They're already
there.
authorized to do it.
Yes, sir, they are.
All right, Director Robinson. Assume for purposes of this question that this $4.5 million is available right now to fund pre-65 retiree health care from January 2016 to June 2016. Is the administration going to extend that health care coverage?
No.
All right, if the council passes this resolution, is the administration going to fund that coverage?
No.
All right, that's all the questions I've got.
All right, excuse me. Hold on. Mr. Malone, would you have a seat, please? Just for a minute. Someone can call you up, Mr. Malone. Hold on. Someone can call you up. Mr. Strickland, for the record, you do have about 3.5 minutes to continue if you want to use that, all right? Come on, audience. Hold on. All right, Ms. Halbert, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll address a couple of issues that have already come up in this discussion. First, I think Councilman Crone asked about the high deductible options. Siegel has presented a number of options in a book that we paid them to put together specifically for this purpose. When Director Collins talks about the surpluses are not guaranteed, the administration's own actuaries, in addition to our independent actuaries, both have documented upcoming surpluses in these funds. And so to sit here and suggest that we don't know, they've already told us what our surpluses are expected to be. With regard to the OPEB liability, and I think this is important for everyone to hear, our OPEB liability is a pay-as-you-go fund. I specifically met with Siegel last week when I was asked to let them review this plan, and Siegel explained to me the OPEB liability is like a mortgage. Right now, when you have your mortgage, you pay down on it, you're paying it to a bank. But instead of having a second party that you're paying it to, you're paying yourself. And so what we did last year by delaying taking these pre-65s off the healthcare fund, then we just simply kept our business as usual. We stayed in the same place. We didn't win anything. We didn't lose anything. We stayed in the same place. It's important to remember that this plan would end by date certain, which is December of 2016. Now, here is a big question, council members. Everybody's wondering where the money is going to come from. Do not forget that when Director Robinson told us that he forecasted the numbers of pre-65 who would be affected by this decision, he said approximately 200 individuals. But then, Director Robinson, I'm not finished, and I'm sure he may call on you, sir.
All right, I think that means, Mr. Robinson, you can have a seat. Thank you very much. Okay, come on, everybody. Come on, we're going to do this right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I do want to take just a few seconds of my time to thank you for that, because it was one of the very few times I felt respected by in this room. The $10 million question is, when Director Robinson came to us, he said this would impact approximately 200 pre-65 retirees. But then he had to come back to the table and tell us on the record that it was more than 1,100 retirees. That's what caused the $10 million cost. And guess what? We found that $10 million. But we're sitting here today hearing what a problem it is, why we can't do it, why they're refusing to do it. We just heard Councilman Strickland ask Attorney Wade, can the council do this? Chairman Lowry, respectfully, you and many others are on the record on a regular basis saying this council can do whatever it wishes. It only takes 7 votes. We say this on a regular basis. And then finally, Mr. Chair, I'm asking this council, think about these people in the position we're putting them in. Stage 4 cancer, pancreatic cancer, can't continue your treatments, don't know where you're going to go. We're putting them in a position of impossibility. This is a 1-year extension of the delay that is already in place, which has been agreed upon by this administration. And what reason would this administration not have to agree to this delay when they had no problem to agreeing it with last year's delay? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Halbert. For the record, Ms. Halbert, you still have approximately 10 minutes if you'd like to use it. Mr. Berlin-Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask Alan a question. I think I heard him correctly. Did you state that the last agreement between that ordinance that Strickland and Conrad, Flinn wrote, did they have an agreement with the administration which made the difference in them accepting that ordinance versus this one?
All I can tell you is that Councilman Strickland and Councilman Flinn did negotiate an agreement with the administration to use funds that they found to delay the exclusion of pre-65 retirees until the end of this year. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Director Collins, my question to you is, based on the information that has been provided, the numbers, why are there such a drastic difference in numbers that we are presented from you versus what others bring to the table?
Well, because the numbers that we bring to the table are the true full cost. The true full cost of the plan. We've been talking about surpluses here. One of the things that I need to remind everybody is that our OPEB plan currently has a $730 million unfunded liability, has an annual required contribution of $35 million a year that we are not currently paying, that extending this coverage not only increases by a pay-go of $10 million, give or take, per year, but there is an associated liability with that. It's just a fact. And that will go up. And this city faces tremendous financial stress from the unfunded OPEB liability, which we hear a lot of talk here about how that is going to continue to be pay-go. And I beg to differ, and so do the officials in Nashville. The comptroller of the state of Tennessee differs. That is a bill that will come due. And
so based on the information that I saw from PwC, is it your recommendation that what you provided me, that's the accurate?
That's the cost.
That's the accurate cost.
Yes.
So currently, based on what you know, how much money to date do we have available in the trust?
The trust is approximately $15 million, and it should be $730 million. That is a weight that is going to drag us down, and at this point in time, to reverse course after the progress that we have made is there is just no future in that. This is an emotional issue, but we have serious financial issues that we have to address. And if we take a step forward and then take a step back, for instance, the rating agencies will look at this and they're just going to say Memphis is not serious about the reforms that they're making, and they are not going to be able to trust that we will continue to move forward. Right now, they believe that we're making progress. We have a AA rating, and we'll keep that AA rating if we continue to make the kind of progress that we've been making. We want to avoid the troubles. These are the same conversations that you're hearing across the country in places like Illinois and Chicago and New Jersey, where they're going to take their entire city down because they are not facing up to these realities. We are at a point in time where we can face these realities, deal with them, and not have that crisis.
Okay, let me get a quick comment from Ms. Triplett, and then I want to hear briefly from Thomas.
Okay, first of all, our unfunded liability, we've always had to list that. So as far as our bond rating, that's always been listed. It just went from line A to line C. Again, another scare tactic. As far as the unfunded liability, you have from Siegel, who the administration has used and the city has used, it states right here, this temporary one-year stay, it will not change the unfunded liability at all. We're not going off the deep end if you choose to do this. Nothing. Those two things are not correct. Please read. Siegel, who y'all hired twice, the administration and the city, is telling you right here, this will not hurt the city. It's cost neutral. And as far, like Mr. Collins keeps coming up here and trying to use the unfunded liability, it's a pay as you go. If the state or anybody else ever mandates it, they are over $2 billion in unfunded liability, and they are 0% funded. 0%. And the comptroller did not come in and tell y'all this was not a good idea. We didn't even presented this idea at that time. So that was another lie.
Right. Mr. Malone.
I'll try to be brief, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long issue, and let me say this. I've had a long tenure with this city, and my first point was back when we were putting money in the OPEP fund, this very director behind me came up and told this body when we needed $24 million to balance the budget that this is kind of like a savings account. We can get it out of there because we can put it back. It's kind of like a savings account. And now it becomes life or death. We took $24 million out of the OPEP fund, and nobody said anything several years ago. But let me say this with due respect to Mr. Wade. He's one of the smartest men I've met. But I've been with this city since 1969 and started negotiating with these councils and this administration since 1971. And I will submit to you that in record, and I have every copy, that we have done long-term agreements with the council in these contracts, with the council turning over, and these next council assumed what this council did in the contract. It's documented in these contract books since 1971. I know he's a smart man, but in this case, with all due respect to my friend here, he's just wrong because I have seen it and been part of it. We've also had, hold on a minute, let's give these people time to hear, because all this clapping stuff doesn't mean anything to me, because I sit here and listen to this stuff, and since 1971, when we started negotiating, and then after 1978, things really got right. The normal procedure was a 3-year contract, sometimes with an extension. We had 2 council changes during some of those times. I've since watched CIP budgets that gone 10 years down the road. These pilots are 10, 15 years down the road. So to say that a council can't mandate another council might be the law, but if it's the law, it's been violated numerous times since 1971. So the thing about this is we talk about this, and you hear about Chicago and New Jersey and all these places. Well, as most of you know, I work for the International Association of Firefighters also, and I travel to these places, and I assist in some of their stuff. And there's nothing like this. There's been nobody made the changes that the city of Memphis made to the current employees. Any change that everybody makes in their pension, in their health care, and all the intangible things that come along with employment have been for new hires. And so I submit to you that these things that they say, yeah, they're the trump cards. We can't deny that these numbers are big. You heard what the director said. It's now $700-something million. It was 1.2 just a few weeks ago. But now, he just stated closer to the real fact. We'll submit is probably more like 570-something million, which is still a lot. But remember this, just a few months ago, we were at $1.3 billion. Our unfunded liability is declining just due to nothing. What y'all did last year had no impact on the unfunded liability. So just think about what's the facts before you, that an unbiased consultant came in here. He's got no skin in this game, gave you the real true figures of what this stuff cost and where the money was, and that's all I'm asking you to do. These people, we made pension changes due to their suggestions, and now they're not nearly as smart as they were. So just look at the figures that they gave, and they're there.
Thank you, Mr. Malone.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. All right, Ms. Fully Love, you did give your time to Ms. Halbert, and wait a minute. And she did not use, she still has 10 minutes. You're taking your 5 back, correct? You're speaking. All right, I just want to make it clear. Go right ahead, Ms. Fully Love, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Director Robinson. Thank you, Director. And let me ask you right now, what is the state's OPEB liability?
So let me just take us back a little bit, because I think the facts have been somewhat misrepresented here, and I just want us to be clear. Prior to this council passing the OPEB reforms, the unfunded liability on OPEB was about $1.3 billion. When the reforms were passed in 2014, the unfunded liability dropped to about $700 million. That's around the same time that the valuation for OPEB was being done, in that time frame. When that unfunded liability remained at $700 million, there was an expectation by PwC, which does our valuations, as well as the auditors that sign off on our annual CAFR, that this subsidy was going to end December 31st of this year. Guess what? When the valuation that's currently being done, it's likely going to show that the unfunded liability is $700 million. You're right there. But guess what? Because the subsidy is still supposed to end December 31st. But if this body, approximately 6 or 7 of you, which will be gone, if you vote to keep this subsidy in place, I will state tonight what I've been stating to this body all along. What you're pushing out to the next council, a $10 million annualized obligation and an unfunded liability that's going to go back up to $1.02 billion. The ARC is going to go from $38 million to an ARC of $59 million. That's 21 cents that someone is going to have to vote to add to the tax rate or find the money elsewhere. Whatever the decision we make, I just want to be clear about what the facts are.
All right, thank you, Director.
Those are the facts.
Director, what is the state's OPEB liability?
Ma'am, I don't represent the state, but I do have responsibility for this city. I can't tell you what it is.
The reason I'm asking you this is because it's because of the state that we've made these changes. As Councilman Crone said, it's been one of the hardest decisions he's ever had to make in his life, doing some of the things that he's doing, especially with his health care. And so it was because of the state. And you don't know what their OPEB liability is, but you do know that according to the state, if we don't do X, Y, Z, we're going to find ourselves in big trouble, right?
I do understand that the state has spoken on pension. They've said we have to fully fund our obligation on pension, and I fully expect the state to do likewise with respect to OPEB.
Okay, well, the state isn't doing that, all right? Now, they can sit back and tell us what to do, but you talked about Attorney Wade being one of the, or somebody saying he being one of, who said that? Oh, Mr. Malone, being one of the smartest men he knows. Well, he's one of the smartest men I know as well. And being that he's so brilliant, he sat in front of us a couple of council meetings ago and we were talking about redistricting. And the question came up, why would the election commission wait until such and such a time to do this? And he looked at us and he said, do you realize how much power you all have? At the end of the day, to use Councilman Collins' words, it takes 7 votes to perhaps even move that pyramid. And so you're telling me, getting back to what Councilman Strickland asked, if we voted in favor of Councilwoman Halbert's proposal, that the administration, once we have said, all right, administration, this is what we do, that you all will not do it?
We will not pass, and just to be clear and to be sure.
Wait, you want what?
We will not pass a $10 million bill along the taxpayers. We will not expose this city to an additional $300 million in unfunded liability.
Okay, so you're telling me what you all are not going to do. How can the administration sit up and say, we're going to have $30 million to make Whitehaven beautiful when we don't have any money? What's going to happen to the money that supposedly was going into the Raleigh Springs Mall? You know, you all can come up with all of these grandiose ideas, and I'm you in the hot seat because you're just in the hot seat. But you all come up with all of this, and then you're going to sit and say, you're going to have more respect for council members whose faces you don't see than those that are sitting right here that you do see. Because if we say, okay, at the end of the day, we're going to pass that, you're saying to us, turning your behind up at us, so to speak, or your nose, I'm sorry. So, I don't understand that. And you're talking about these new council members as if they are somewhat unique than we that are sitting here. What about the people that have worked all of their lives for this city, that this city promised something to, that we would take care of you? What about that promise instead of talking about what a council that you don't know what they look like may encounter if they come here?
Please summarize, Ms. Fullilove.
Summarize. Director, you just used up $10 million. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Ms. Halbert?
I'll wait, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Halbert, you have an additional 5 minutes.
I'll let the rest of them go.
Repeat that, please.
I'll wait till the rest of them go speak, please, sir.
All right, you're passing. Mr. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is to Councilor Wade. So I guess I'm sitting here and I've heard you say we can't lock down the next council, which you have said for years. And I've had the city administration say that we could pass this 13-0 and they're not going to extend it. So this is basically a piece of paper for us to do some voting on that means absolutely nothing?
Under the current facts, yes, sir, because what it says is that you authorize the city administration. You're not telling them what to do, and I don't know that you can tell them administratively what to do. So the language of the resolution is appropriate. It doesn't run you in conflict of the charter, but once you authorize someone to do it, they can take it or leave it, and apparently that's what they're going to do is leave it.
Director Robinson, thank you, Alan. So, Director Robinson, I need you to break it down for me and just yes or no as I walk through this. If we put 1,000 people back into the insurance, which is what this would do for next year, you were saying that PwC may increase our liability back to the $1.2 billion.
Yes.
If that occurs, then we would be increasing what the ARC for healthcare, not pension arc, that arc for health care would be, we would increase it by about 22 million.
Correct, yes.
What money do we have set aside every year in the budget to pay that arc right now, if any?
We don't have money set aside.
Okay. So, okay, hold on, guys. So we don't have any money set aside. So we would be adding a $50+ million ARC payment on top of the 60 to 70 million ARC payment for the pension. So I guess the question that I have is, what division of city government are we shutting down to pay for all this if this would even come to realization? That's where I'm confused. And I'm not, hold on, folks.
Excuse me, seriously. I don't want to ask anybody to leave, but we're going to be able to listen and be respectful.
And I guess I'm also confused, and I've heard everybody talk about the administration's scare tactics and the scare tactics on this side. I guess I'm trying to figure out what a one-year extension that apparently from our attorney we can't pass anyway because we can't lock the next council into a budget. What a one-year extension for pre-65 gains anybody looking to come here to work for the city of Memphis, because it's going away anyway. So I guess I'm confused on how we're all trying to make these arguments when, quite frankly, and I absolutely agree with Ms. Strickland on what she said earlier, and it looks like you've done what she said. You've stood up and said you're not going to do it anyway, correct?
As much as we empathize with what has been stated about some members of the plan, and let me say that we firmly believe that these pre-65s have good options through a current employer's insurance, through a spouse's employer's insurance, and under the ACA. So with that in mind, we believe that the right thing to do is to move forward with what this council has already approved so that we can settle these unfunded liability issues and move forward. Because you ask a good question, if we make the decision to keep the subsidy in place, which division of government are we going to shut down? All of our divisions are razor thin. We're trying desperately to beef up public safety, police, and fire. I don't know where the money would come from, quite frankly, unless there was a new source of revenue.
Okay. But I want, and Ms. Strickland, come on up, give me 1 second. But I want to be clear, just yes or no for me, Director Robinson. Regardless of what we vote, yes, no, abstain, recuse, I wasn't in my seat, not going to do it. Administration is not going to do it, correct?
We're not going to do it, yes, sir.
Ms. Strickland. Thank you, Director.
You have a minute left.
Just so
how much time?
You got a minute.
Just so we're clear, yes, anybody can qualify for the Affordable Health Care Act. But what Mr. Robinson is not telling you, and it's all written down, we don't qualify for tax breaks or subsidies due to our pension. So just the payment is more than paying 100%, and our out-of-pocket cost for medicines and everything else is double, if not triple. So that sounds good and pretty, but it's not correct. Another lie. Secondly,
well, Ms. Tribbett, let me, he gave me some time, okay. So I'm going to let you, no, don't go anywhere. I guess my point is you stood up here a little while ago and said, give us an answer.
Correct. He gave us an answer.
I think you got the answer.
Right. So, I just wanted it on the record.
And I'm going to let you finish. It just looks like no matter what we vote, the administration is making the stand.
And I guess that's where I'm confused, because 2 weeks ago, Mr. Seaman stood up here and said, if it be the will of the council, we administrators have to do what you vote on. So apparently we have two sides of the story, and maybe we need to figure out which is true.
Well, is that all? Are you good? Okay. I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you still have 4:30. You have Mr. Ford's time.
Well, hold on to it, because I may come back to it.
All right, fine. I'll hold on to it. I see. Mr. Collins, your time has been used by Ms. Halbert. Well, he can have the last 5. That's fine. That's wonderful. Wait 1 second. Collins, you have the floor.
My question is to Mr. Wade. Knowing now what the administration position is about carrying out the will of the council, what recourse does the council have to ensure that its intentions are going forward for the city of Memphis?
You appropriate funds. They don't have to spend it. That you have not directed them to do one thing in this resolution. You have authorized them to do something. You have the ability to direct them to live within the budget you set. You have the authority to put handcuffs on what they can spend the money for. They have to follow your instructions. But as I understand it, there's no money in the budget to fund this. So absent somebody putting some money in the budget to do it, they cannot fulfill your wishes, is what I'm hearing. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you in response to your question.
Okay. Well, I'm not speaking directly in regards to this particular resolution that Councilwoman Howard has presented. I'm going global. I'm going at the 50,000 foot level now.
Okay.
Based on what Director Robinson has said, they can pick and choose whatever they decide to function on when this council makes a decision. And I'm concerned about that. And so somebody needs to give me some recourse action.
Okay, let me see if I can address it. I think it is going to depend on what it is you're directing them to do. There are certain things that are within your legislative direction that you have the power to do, and they are required to follow the policies of the council. That's in the charter. It's also in the charter that you cannot direct them how to administratively run the city. That's in the charter. So there is a separation of powers. So within your domain, of course, and I'll say, hell yes, you can tell them what to do. And they're required to do it. And some affected citizen can mandamus them to do it, as they did in the Bloodwalk case.
So what I hear now, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that administratively, they're choosing to say this particular health care issue is an administrative issue. So therefore, because of the charter, we're going to draw the line and say you're getting into the administration function of the city of Memphis.
Yes, sir. Let me digress. We've done this 100 times since I've been here. This debate about this health care plan, there was debate about it when Cliff Pierce and Mayor Hackett was mayor. And the mayor took the position, and Cliff Pierce wrote an opinion, and it has been consistent opinion of every city attorney since then. This plan was administratively created by the administration. It was not created by the council. Mayor Hackett says, I make the decision on plan design. I make the decision on subsidy splits. That is an administrative function. The council had nothing to do with it, and I'm not making this up. This is not new to me. I'm just reiterating.
No, I understand your point. I'm just trying to make sure, and I understand now where the administration is utilizing its position. They are saying, regardless of the fact that if this council appropriated the $10 million out of somebody else's division to do this, they're saying we're not doing it because it's an administrative function. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Howard, did you want to speak again? Quick question, all right.
Quick question of Director Collins or Director Robinson. When you came and asked for the $10 million because you deflated the numbers, where did you get that from?
Councilwoman, would you repeat the question?
When Director Robinson came to the council and said that he made an error in the numbers that would be impacted by the healthcare last year in 2014, he started out with 200 or a little more than 200 and he got over to 1,100. Where did that, he asked for $10 million. Where did that $10 million come from?
Those were general fund dollars.
So, Mr. Chair, okay, last part of that question. Where did you put that $10 million since you're now saying that we will not have that money?
I'm not sure I understand the question, ma'am.
2014, you asked for $10 million, the approval for $10 million. Have you spent that $10 million somewhere else or something?
By state law, the health care fund, OPEB fund, they have to balance at the end of the fiscal year.
That's not the question, Director. Did you spend the $10 million somewhere else?
$10 million was spent to ensure that health care, OPEB funds balanced at the end of the last fiscal year per the state law.
Where is the $10 million? I just need to know, where is that $10 million that you initially asked for?
I don't have a different answer. That's why we came to council.
So is it in the surplus? Is it in the surplus, or have you already allocated it towards something else since it was coming from the general fund?
Well, the $10 million was spent to balance the health care OPEB funds, which were running at a deficit. And so if you're asking me where can we find an additional $10 million, that's a different question.
No, sir. The health care and the OPEB fund has a $15 million surplus right now today. So are you saying that $10 million has been placed in there?
So I think Mr. Collins explained it. We're talking about a snapshot in time.
Mr. Chair.
If there's $15 million in the trust.
Mr. Chairman.
If there is $15 million.
Excuse me. Respectfully, Ms. Albert, please let him finish.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute. If you don't want him to speak, that's fine. You have the floor.
Mr. Chair, this is what I'm asking you. Can I respectfully ask for an answer to my question? All I want to know is he had $10 million last year that he found, and he just said it came from the general fund.
And he was answering the question. Let's let him answer.
Okay, let me hear the answer, because I'm not
Let's let him
hearing
answer.
So Councilwoman Habit, if you say there's $15 million in the OPEB trust, our ARC, the amount that we'll need to spend on retiree health care this year is $38 million. So when you look at a snapshot in time and see $15 million, we're just 2 months into the plan. 2 months into the fiscal year, there is no surplus, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. And we'll have to go where we've gone in prior years to balance the funds, and that's back to the general fund. We'll have to rely on general fund dollars to do that.
Mr. Chair, I asked a simple question. We had actual dollars of $10 million. This administration had to come back to council and ask for, and now they're saying we don't have $10 million. So I'm asking, since we haven't asked for that again in 2015 yet, where is it? And I'm not hearing that, because those are actual dollars. They're not floating dollars in the sky. They're actual dollars. That $10 million is somewhere, and you're not telling us where it is.
All right, respectfully, Ms.
Chair.
Albert, thank you. Mr. Hedgepeth.
Ms. Halbert, I think I can answer that question. The $10 million came out of the general fund, and it was put in the OPEB ARC.
Say that again, sir.
The $10 million came out of our general fund, and it was spent on the OPEB ARC payment.
All right. Did that answer your question, Ms. Albert?
If one last thing, since the councilman answered. So since the administration has not come this year and asked for another $10 million to put in the OPEB ARC, where is that $10 million that normally would have been in the budget? You took money out of the budget last year. So are you saying that $10 million wasn't allocated back into the budget? We were just $10 million less?
It was spent towards retiree health care, which is an OPEB expense.
Okay, whatever. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Any other questions or concerns from anyone? It's time to vote. Please set up the voting screen. Please cast your votes. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Show the voting screen, please.
Berlin Boyd abstained. William Boyd, yes. Brown, yes. Collins, yes. Conrad abstained. Crone abstained. Ford abstained. Fully Love, yes. Halbert, yes. Hedgepeth abstained. Morrison abstained. Strickland abstained. Lowry, no. I've got a snapshot of it.
All right. Excuse me. Look at the vote. The vote shows that there are 5 in favor. There are, put the screen back up, please. There were 7 or 8 abstentions and 1 no. The resolution passes. All right. Let's move on now. We had same night minutes. Who's seen the same night minutes? All right, we have several cards. Do we have same night minutes? Who has read the same night minutes? Then let's move on to the speakers. Excuse me, as you leave,